Desire scares me a little bit. But I found in Law of Attraction where you said desire from the point of positive attraction. And that really settled it down, the point of a very positive perspective. I mean,
what is unsettling about desire?
Well, if my values or my personal perspective is selfish, then my desires
are. It better be.
Well,
because you've only got the perspective of self.
There's
desire,
things I could do harm.
So in the same way that we were talking about these other words that kind of fit together, the word desire for you feels a little greedy, feels a little selfish.
Yeah.
So you got to work the bugs out of that.
Well, if I move to if I do what you say and I move to a positive emotion spot and my desire flows from there, then I don't have a problem.
Well, we just have some questions, so let's really nail that down for you because this is big and very important. So if it is true, and it is, that you are an extension of that which is source, and that life will inspire you to new interests and desires and preferences, and that source flows with you and through you to those desires, and that, in fact, the desires that are born summon the energy for the fulfillment of what they are. And if it is true that everyone stands as this object of attention of source, and that everyone has this endless energy flowing to you toward that which you are creating, then is it possible for anyone to get more than their fair share? The only thing that would stop you from summoning energy is to not focus it into being. So you could stand as one who doesn't focus and criticize those who have focused. But it wasn't because there was a shortage of energy for you. It was because you used the condition of someone else getting it to block yourself from it, and then you blamed them for not flowing. That doesn't feel good, does it?
No.
And so, do you believe that everyone is an object of this source, attention, and awareness?
I am moving to that point, and yes, I do.
Well, theoretically,
but
is anything
I can
else
think of
logical
times
to you?
in my past when
before you knew what you now know.
Yeah.
When you were living a more conditional love and a conditional life, when you used some of those bogus, trumped-up conditions to block yourself from well-being, and then blamed the very condition that you trumped up for not having the well-being that you wanted. But your desire was not the problem. Your resistance was the problem.
Okay. All right.
That's why we begin every gathering with, are you knowing what you are wanting? And do you like the feeling of desire? Because a feeling of desire that is unfettered or unhindered by your own resistance, which is the only thing that can hinder it, is the delicious life that you are all reaching for. But a desire that you are stymieing or squelching or hindering because you have misunderstood who you are or who everyone else is, then we can understand how that would make you a little uncomfortable. And it's what causes people to develop these patterns of thoughts about that are the best label for them is shortage consciousness, as if there's only so much to go around, and shortage consciousness, as if there is only so much to go around, and since those people over there are receiving so much, then surely they must be taking away from the pie. And we say the thing that most humans are still not quite yet understanding hardly at all ever, you create the pie. You create the pie. You create the pie. You create the pie. Your desire creates the pie. So it's like you've created this endless pie, and then you stand in a place where you just don't give yourself any. And then you say, this pie isn't big enough. And we say, yes, it is. You're just vibrationally out of sync with the pie. That guy's taken too much of the pie. No, he isn't. You're just vibrationally out of sync with the pie. The pie will expand to meet his desires and his desires and her desires and her desires and your desires. The pie will expand to satisfy everyone's desires. In fact, it already has. The question isn't, is the pie big enough? The question is, what's your expectation when you go to get it? What thoughts have you been practicing, you see? Really good conversation. We're giving you more than where you stand actually is asking for. Because But that was worth working the bugs out a little bit, don't you think?
Absolutely, and I appreciate the words, and I will use them.
Yeah. So now what? So now where are you?
I'm happy. You answered my question.
And how do you feel about, are you eager about new desires being born within you? It's all right, we put you on the spot a little bit, but we really want to...
Well, if I think back, I mean,
Don't think back.
Oh.
Don't think back. Think forward.
To the conversation today where you said that our desires are there, and I simply need to open up and let them expand.
So your desires are inevitable. So what we're asking is, since your desires are inevitable, and that is for sure, your desires are inevitable. Don't you want to do whatever you can do to be the receiver of the inspiration of them? Oh, stay there for just a minute. Did you hear what we just said? So the desires that are born within you, the desires that have been born within you and that are being born within you, are flowing from your vortex into your point of attraction. In other words, that they are ideas that you are realizing because you were in vibrational sync with your source and with your vortex. Did you follow that? We have to stay here because we really want you to get this. So, the fact that a desire has been born, let's say it in a different way, has been realized by you. The fact that you have realized a desire. The fact that you have become aware that you have a desire. The fact that you are now aware that you have a desire means that inspiration was allowed by you in a time of no resistance. Stay there for a minute. So you found a time of no resistance, and what happened? A desire came. Boom! And then you killed it with your doubt. But think about that. This is really big. The fact that the desire happened means that you were at a place of non-resistance when that desire came. Then you started placing all kinds of conditions on that desire and introduced all kinds of resistance to it, and then the desire didn't feel so sweet. But a desire that stays fresh can... Really, the point that we're making, and it's such a new conversation about law of attraction, and we're so pleased that there are so many of you right here having the experience of the unfolding of it within you, is that you must have created the atmosphere that allowed the inspiration of the desire to begin with. And now you just have to keep doing the work that allows, beyond the inspiration, the allowance of the manifestation of the desire. And that's what life is. Because you can't be in an environment that is constantly producing desires within you, and it is. You can't be in an environment that is constantly producing desires within you and feel good unless you're staying up to speed with the desires. That's why this conversation about desire, we cannot let it stand as so many people want to stand it, that there's something wrong with desires. Because desires are born out of alignment, you see. And what makes you want to quell desires is then so when you have buyer's remorse, you were in alignment when you bought it. You just didn't stay in alignment, and now you think you shouldn't have. So, don't have desires remorse. Don't have desires remorse. Really good.
Thank you.
Really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.